Hi, I'm Kyrah Hager, and this is my cultural presentation on symbolic language in the Native American culture. Have you had a history class? Because in my history class, I remember that Native Americans communicated to one another by doing ceremonies, rituals that involved nature. They would all be outside, obviously. They wouldn't just do rituals and ceremonies, but they would also do storytellings, dancing, spirit animals, and headdresses, which I noticed that most of the spirit animals are mainly nonverbal, and so are the headdresses. I remember it was in my history class, my freshman year, we had a Native American culture tribe come into our class and show us like storytelling, or they would give us storytelling, and they would describe some of their spirit animals that they had on their teepees, which I thought was pretty fascinating. But with their traditions, they have ceremonies and rituals, storytellings, and they do this by telling different people that are not in their culture different stories that they had that were like passed on generation to generation to also keep their tradition alive. They would also have powwows, which are like a big get together with like the whole tribe, just kind of like a celebration, because they were mainly all about like the earth, like connecting with it and trying to like keep it alive. Spirit animals. Some of these are carved on their teepee poles, so they would live in teepees, but then at the top there would be like different animals that would represent their seniority in the tribe, like if they're super important or if they're not. There are 4 dances. In the Hankering for History, they describe these 4 dances individually. The stomp dance, that's one. The second one is the ghost dance. The third one is the sun dance. And the fourth one is the grass dance. In the stomp dance, it is usually performed by the Chickasaw tribe. And before the dance gets started, there's a leader that goes around and gathers everybody to get them all in the circle, and it's usually around like a musical instrument that the leader will be playing, which the person that goes around to get everyone together usually represents the leader. Then usually the men and the women alternate in the line. Usually the women are in the back. They have like ankle rattles around their ankles, which also beats to the music in that the leader is doing. It usually goes along with it. There's a ghost dance. It is performed to show regeneration of the earth. There's no specific way. It just moves that they think regenerate the earth, make it a better place. You also may not know this, but this dance was first performed by the Indians, and they were performing and were gunned down at the Battle of the Wounded Knee. Kind of thought that was fascinating. A little history there. The sun dance, it usually is like performed or shown as it symbolizes the eternal life. So they're trying to like make things live longer. These would usually be performed by the Plains Indians, and it was the most important of a religious ceremony, or in their religion, that this dance gets performed, and it would be held every summer, and it would last up to 4 to 8 days depending. And they would do it from sunset to sunrise, so they would do it all night. And then the last one is the grass dance. This is the oldest dance in the Native American tribe of the history. This dance mainly relates to the grass swaying back and forth, so when there would be wind, they would sway that way. It also is to like stomp grass down. I thought that was pretty fascinating. Um, but when doing this dance, many, if not all, of the tribal members are wearing headdresses, costumes with fringes on them. So all in all the dances communicate to one another. There's different dances for different like tribes of the Native American culture. That because they all like focus on nature, so I thought that was pretty fascinating. The next one is headdresses. There are a lot of headdresses and such like clothing wise, but the most interesting ones that I found were war bonnets, basket hats, feather headbands, and for some women they wore tiaras. But I'm gonna start with the war bonnets. These headdresses are considered the impressive feather headdress that would typically be seen in like Western movies or TV shows. They were the most like commonly like worn by different tribes. Like they would all have them. That's why it's so commonly well known, even though I didn't know it. But it was interesting to learn about it. Um, they, but the one thing that's different about them all is that they are so differently like beaded work, and like if they had like deer skin or whatever type of animal skin that they had. They consist of feathers, but in different patterns, like of the feathers going, it could be going like straight up or like straight down all the way down to the ground. But it would also go along with the animal skin with the beadwork on them. The next one is the basket hats. These were usually worn by women and girls in California who belonged to the Plateau tribe. Most of the women and girls would wear them on a day-to-day basis, but they would be most likely worn at the ceremonies too, so it would be like a 24/7 type of headdress that they're wearing. And they would have designs on them. They would like draw designs like of different things that represented their tribe and where they belonged. The next one is feather headbands. These are also the most commonly known just because they've been in movies. I know I've seen them in Pocahontas. They had them when she was going to her tribe. And they're mostly consisted of one or two feathers, depending on the like their seniority, along with a beaded deer strip, and they would also have their tribal designs all over them. And then for women, most of them wore these tiaras. They were beaded headbands, and they were seen as like high crowns that females could wear to formal ceremonies, and they would differ from tribe to tribe. Then, as you can tell, the Native American culture has an overall respect for the land. Most of their clothing and accessories are from nature and animals, but one thing is that they don't take anything from the nature without permission because they believe everything has spirit and life. They communicate through their ritual routines with everyone else. That's how they communicate. Most of their ceremonies would communicate to other tribes and cultures by the way they would react to their dances and performances, like the powwow, for instance. The main way to communicate was through their storytelling, since it would be passed on generation to generation. It was the only way to keep the stories and the tradition alive, so they still do that today. My favorite part, personally, was the tradition of the storytelling, since it keeps the tradition alive, so it still feels like they're still doing stuff from way back when. And then I also thought the spirit animals were unique too, just by like how they would have them on their teepees or on their teepee poles to like represent like the leader, like the big names in the tribe. They would also be carved out of wood. I think the Native American culture communicates very well since they have so many different things that shows their religion and their traditions. It's interesting that most of their ceremonies are for different meanings. Like they could have one for death, or even for the dances, for instance, like the sun dance, where it happens every summer, and it lasts from sunset to sunrise. So I just thought those were very interesting. Thank you.